Hello, everyone, and welcome to the boring AFC. And what a weekend we have ahead of us, hopefully. Tomorrow is probably the biggest day that our football club has had in 6 years since we last won the FA Cup. And everything that we've been doing up to this point now is building for what is next. The Carabao Cup is important, not on its own, but as part of what is going to happen next, or what should be happening next. This is a momentum builder, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. Before I do, please like and subscribe. I'm so close now to the 50 subs that I need to be able to stream live and interact with you guys, which is ultimately what I want to be doing. But let's make a start and let's talk about what is going on today. So, first things first, the Carabao Cup Final is tomorrow. However, our record in this cup is not great. It's not very good. It's pretty poor, actually, for a club as old as ours that has competed in the League Cup as many times as our club has. We have not got a good record. In fact, the last time that we won it was 33 years ago under George Graham. I was 7 years old. All right, I can't even remember it. All right. But that was the last time that we won it. And actually, Wenger failed quite monumentally, actually, in this cup, choosing mostly to play the kids. However, he did get to 3 cup finals. In the first one, I feel like you could possibly give him a pass. That was against Chelsea. And sticking to his guns, he played basically our kids. I think I can remember Diaby in that game. And I think he knocked out John Terry with a boot to the head, if I remember correctly. He threw the game against Birmingham. God knows what happened there. And then we got absolutely spanked by Man City in what would end up being one of Wenger's final seasons. So Arsenal have actually been to 6 finals in this competition's history, and we've won 2. So our performance rate is pretty full. We've won 25% of the finals that we've been in. And considering that Arsenal have actually quite a good track record in cup games, when you look at the FA Cup, we're the leaders for that with 15 FA Cups. So as far as our performance in this cup, it's been poor, particularly when we've gotten to finals. So let's have a look at that then. The last team to win this cup, and let's have a look at them right here. This was the last team that won the Carabao Cup or the League Cup under George Graham. And just have a look at this lineup. Seaman in goal, Linningham in right back, Adams, O'Leary, Winterburn, Parler, Merson, Davis, Morrow, Campbell and Ian Wright. This is a great team. I can remember celebrating what some of these players were doing on the pitch. I can't specifically remember this final, but I can remember the names towards the mid and late 90s and being really impressed and excited by what they were doing on the pitch. I can remember Winterburn screamers. I can remember Ian Wright breaking the club record for goals. Merson and Parler, it's only Ray Parler. Tony Adams, that ball over the top from Steve Bold to secure the title in 97. You know, some of these guys were my heroes growing up. And so it's quite interesting, really, when you look at this team and how successful they were. And, you know, how many of these players would we now consider legends at the club? Seaman, certainly, Winterburn, Adams, Merson, Parler, Campbell to an extent, Ian Wright. And, you know, that's my generation speaking, but there would be people who are older than me who are saying you've got to be putting O'Leary in there, for example. So this was a fabulous team that won the Carabao Cup or the League Cup in 93. And so hopefully we're looking at whether or not we're able to do that again this season and finally kind of get the monkey off our back, I guess. So we've talked about the last winning team. Let's talk about the final itself. Come back to me for a second. All right. So our current form is pretty good. We're in the quarterfinals of the Champions League and we've won the last 4 in the Premier League, especially after that disappointing result against Wolves. Our team is starting to tick. The balance is starting to look a lot better. Eze is starting to find his sort of maverick energy. Zubimendi is starting to tick again, and Gyökeres is looking dangerous. And it looks like the team is finally working out where they need to be. And I also think that in terms of the balance of the defence, now that White is fit again, it gives Arteta more options for the defensive side of that, but also the offensive side too. So I think in terms of the way the team is currently set, there are great options because everyone is in form, even with the obvious people who are missing. City, on the other hand, aren't looking as great. They're out of the Champions League quite badly, actually, and they've drawn the last two in the league against teams they should be beating, Forest and West Ham. So their form into this isn't going great. And that could mean one of two things. That means they're buoyed, or that means that they are suffering. And either way, it doesn't make for the perfect setup for Arsenal, even if I'm personally quite confident that we're going to get the job done. Rodri hasn't been quite at it since he's been back. And actually, the numbers show that as well. When Rodri is in the team aren't as successful as at getting results. They have no Gahey because he's cup tied. Gvardiol is injured, and Haaland hasn't really been informed since the turn of the year. So with that all being said, you have to look at that and think this final is very much leaning towards Arteta's Arsenal. And for me personally, I'm not a huge Carabao Cup fanboy. I'm not. However, in terms of the momentum that this builds, there is so much riding on this because there's that kind of flex of having that over the opposing team. They're still both going for the Premier League, and it's closer than I think we're giving it credit for. I expect Arsenal to win the league, but I don't think it's going to be as straightforward as the 9 points are suggesting right now. There is also the kind of the underlying narrative that this could be Pep's last season. Is Pep going to ride out on his horse, or are we going to get this kind of passing of the torch with the sensei, and as the sensei is beaten by the apprentice? So I think there's a lot riding on this game that is bigger actually than the trophy itself. So with that being said, let's very quickly look at what I think the predicted lineup is going to be for this game. So this is what I have. I'm going to go, I think he will pick Raya. However, I would not be upset if you pick Kepa. I think it's the right thing to do. So Raya or Kepa for me are interchangeable. I'd like to see Kepa in their lineup because I think that the balance of the dressing room is going to be important, and that kind of ill feeling could be some bad juju in there. So Raya or Kepa, preferably Kepa. I don't think that Timber is going to be fit, and I think that White will start at right back, and that will mean that we'll have Willy Saliba, Gabs, and Hincapié in defence. And actually, I think that's perfect balance because that will mean that White can interchange with Saka a little bit more, which will mean that I think that opens up Saka's game on the right wing. And I also think that Hincapié being so defensively solid will allow Trossard to move across the pitch like he did against Bayer Leverkusen, which I think creates so much space for Eze to then run into, who I think will retain his place in the 10. Zubimendi and Rice as a standard. And I just have the feeling that Gyökeres might have done enough to start in the 9. I also think that without Gahey and without Gvardiol, they're going to be starting Kusanov. And for all of his pace, I don't think he's strong. And I think that Gyökeres will bully him. So I think that Arsenal have got enough here to be winning this final. I also think that Arsenal have enough in this lineup to really make it difficult for Man City. And I'm not undermining Man City here. I'm not suggesting that Man City are going to... I'm not going to give a game of it. I just really do think that Arsenal are going to be too strong. And actually, this is the most confident I've felt in a match against Man City, I think, ever. Even with the surprise result last year in the league at the Emirates, this is the most confident I've ever felt in a game against Man City. So with that being said, the prediction. I'm probably going to get absolutely slated for this, but I'm going to die on the sword. I think Arsenal are going to go there. I think they're going to show up, and I think they are going to crush Man City's dreams. I've tried to be conservative in this, but I genuinely think it's going to be a 3-0 win. And I think we're going to be strong. I think we're going to get the job done. We're going to get the monkey off our back. We're going to build momentum. We're going to get our first League Cup trophy in 33 years. And we are going to set the platform necessary to get Arsenal over the line in the Premier League for the first time in over 20 years. What do you guys think? I mean, it's a pretty bold, I'm fully aware that it's a pretty bold call to make, but I just feel so confident. And what would be the point in lying? I genuinely feel this. I think we're going to get the job done. Love to hear your thoughts in the comment, or just to come and throw stones at me for being absolutely crazy. And always, if you could please like and please subscribe, help me get over that line so I can stream live. And as for tomorrow, up the Gunners.